Welcome to episode 90 of Drew's Sports Crew. Yes, episode 9010 away from number 100 here on the podcast. And myself, Drew Skyberg, bringing you the news here in the sports world. Of course, we'll be going through the EWC. We'll be touching on girls and boys basketball. We'll be talking about recent performances. We'll be talking about stat leaders, standing leaders on both sides. And then we'll be going through some Wisconsin sports. We call it the Wisconsin Sports Updates here, right? We'll be talking about the Bucks and the Packers. We'll be rolling through. And I hope everyone had a great holiday weekend, right, with Thanksgiving. And yeah, here we go. We are back in the sports world, right? We have, of course, Christmas in under a month. And we have a lot of big games coming up in the sports world, right? We have Marquette, Wisconsin, that rivalry this week. I believe it's this Saturday. Is that rivalry game, but we got a great amount of games of, some great sports games coming up here in the next few weeks. And I'm looking forward to covering them here on the podcast. But otherwise, we got to stick to some announcements before we get into those great things we got to talk about. First things first, right? We'll go through the schedule this week, right? You got me here Monday morning around 10:30. And then you'll find me next here on the show. It'll be probably tomorrow morning. We'll be doing Drew's basketball crew. I'm debating, I've mentioned this, potentially recording those Tuesday night for Wednesday, because Wednesday we have a lot more games. We have a lot more quality games, right? So there's, we'll see how that rolls for now. I think we're going to be rolling with Tuesday for this week. And then tomorrow at 5:30, we have Jade Herzer coming on, a Division III wrestler from Stevens Point. She'll be coming on discussing her journey and how she ends up at Stevens Point. She'll talk about wrestling. It'll be, it's an exciting episode. I'm really looking forward to it. And that again will be at 5:30 tomorrow night. We got then on Wednesday, you know how it works. Journey to a Million. Well, we'll bring that to you around 5:45. It sounds like the time will be on that. And that 5:45 p.m. We'll be doing the drafts before the episode. Those will not be aired. Which then allows us, you'll still see our drafts. We'll still talk about last week's drafts. For example, we'll talk about how I went 4-1 in team picks this past week. And then that gives us more time, of course, to discuss, what the show's all about, football, right? So we'll be discussing football. We'll be doing our key takeaways. We'll be talking about, of course, sleepers for the week, start-sit dilemmas, trade analysis, trade advice, classic Journey to a Million topics. Those will be brought your way Wednesday, again, around 5:45 p.m. But announcement-wise, that's kind of all I got here. Of course, the hats on sale here, $15. This hat, Drew Sports Crew, or in the back, I did the wrong way. There it is, Journey to a Million. Down there, that's the hat you want. The reflection, But, $15 are those hats. Again, I moved the wrong way again. It's just weird with it being flipped. There it is, Journey to a Million. Go get that hat, or you'll see me wear it Wednesday. So those are your updates. Let's roll into the sports world. Episode 90. Here we go. So in the Eastern Wisconsin Conference, we got to talk about basketball, of course, right? Football is coming and gone. We did that episode last week. Robert Schimmick came on, did a fantastic job. I lost my voice. Robert came in, was able to talk a little bit for me. And look, voice is back now, so we don't have that issue. That's actually like the first time that's happened on the air. So it was kind of embarrassing, but here we go. In the world of boys basketball, we'll start with, we don't have many games, right? We had 1 week of games last week. We had some scrimmages for teams. So a team like Brilliant and Roncalli, those two squads have not played an official game yet, but that changes all this week. But our one non-con, game for each team, we have some stat leaders already. So right now, I see Brady Richards, IB of Two Rivers, put up 39 in his first game. I don't have any specific stats really on that, but he right now leads the conference in scoring. Of course, a performance like that will do it, just that. Jack Heckman, 24 a game, puts him at the number 2 spot. Cole Hovey put up 21 in his opener. He's at number 3. Max Miller at number 4 with 19. And then Will Forbringer with 16 a game. In the rebound department, you guessed it, Grant Munns leading the way, 25 a game. Max Miller with 15, and then Will Forbringer with 7 there. Max Miller then with 3 assists, Austin Grube with 3 assists, and then Ryan Piarkey with 3 assists. So that is your stat leaders. Again, standings, we'll go through them still. Of course, no conference games yet, but I can tell you the teams that won and lost. Chilton and Kiel both got the job done. And they are both 1-0 alongside Two Rivers. The teams that lost, New Holstein lost their opener, Sheboygan Falls, and then Valders lost their opener. Sheboygan Falls lost to Plymouth. I can tell you that. I know Valders lost a really tough Plymouth team as well, and they lost only by 6. Plymouth beat Sheboygan Falls by 41. So, we have Roncalli. I can give you the openers. I'll give you the games this week then. For on the boys' side, Algoma and Two Rivers square off tonight at 7 p.m. That's at Two Rivers High School. Chilton and Green Bay West on Tuesday, alongside Kewanee and Brillion. Brillian's opener against a tough Kewanee squad. It should be a great one there in Brillion. Valders travels to Green Bay East, and then we have Brillion traveling to Sheboygan Falls. We have our first set of conference games already coming up Thursday, December 1st. Wow. Here we go. It's Brilliant Sheboygan Falls, Kiel New Holstein, Roncalli Chilton, and Valders Two Rivers. Then you got a game this Friday, and then, of course, I'll touch on next week's game in next week's episode. So we have a Friday one. Sheboygan South travels to New Holstein, so that should be a tough task for the Huskies that's on Friday. So that is your boys basketball recap. Nice and brief so far. Only one game through, for mostly each squad. We have more games, though, for the girls' side. We have some teams with 4 games, some with 3, right, and some with 2. So New Holstein is 3-0 so far, and they are 1-0 in conference. Of course, we had the first conference game of the year at Pfizer Forum, Valders New Holstein. We'll get to that game here in a second. Brilliant, though, is 1-1 overall. Chilton 3-0 overall. Kiel 1-2. Roncalli 1-1. Sheboygan Falls 2-1. Two Rivers 1-3, and then Valders 0-4. Let's go through the stats. Grace Shizzle is leading the way again, 26 a game for her through 3 games. Impressive stuff on her end. Allison Kakis, 24.5 she's averaging. Julia Beek is averaging 17.7. Addison Schweely, 17.7. And then Adeline Hurl, 17.3. In the rebound department, Peyton Grenzer leads the way. A familiar name from last year, 14.5 a game for her. Also, these other two, of course, Addison and Schweely, 12.3 rebounds a game. Adeline Hurl then with 12. In the assist department, Allie Kakis leads the way, 5.5 assists. Olivia Shue with 5. Mackenzie Schrader then rounds it out with 5 a game as well. Let's go in the schedule. Let's look at this past week. Let's look at the games. So we had that face-off on Friday. It was Valders New Holstein at Pfizer Forum. Valders puts up a fight against one of the top teams in the conference in New Holstein, though they lose 58-50 was the final there. Two Rivers they hosted Cedar Grove, Belgium, a tough Cedar Grove, Belgium squad. They unfortunately lose there 88-51. Two Rivers, Denmark. Denmark gets the job done 60-54. So I don't know if they had a face-off thing going on there Friday and Saturday. That was. We had them Plymouth and Sheboygan Falls. Sheboygan Falls gets the job done 53-31. So I don't know, with both squads playing Plymouth, Sheboygan Falls, both those games for on the boys' side happening too. Not sure what's going on there, but I can tell you we have some more conference basketball here on Tuesday. So tomorrow night, we'll have Brilliant New Holstein squaring off. Should be a good one in New Holstein. Sheboygan Falls Kiel, Two Rivers Roncalli, and then Valders and Chilton. That's your first set of conference games. And then we got the games coming this Friday. So Tuesday, Friday is your schedule. Friday has Chilton, Sheboygan Falls, Kiel, Brilliant, New Holstein, Two Rivers, and then Roncalli, Valders. So that will be your schedule. There's your stats, standings, all that report. It is all featured on wisports.net. That link will be down below. Of course, wisports.net. Thank you to wisports.net. WSN for all your sports info / coverage for the EWC. And let's roll here. That was a quick 10 minutes through here, but not much really in this first week. Not many conference games, so it's hard to really talk about the games specifically, right? But let's roll. We're gonna go to the football side. Yep, we're gonna get that done and over with. The Packers, they put up, do I dare say, a fight against the Philadelphia Eagles? I mean, it was a 7-point game it ended up being, and I mean, it felt like they were out of it. It really did, right? It felt like they were down 2-3 scores. But the final score showed, I mean, they ended up competing, and the yard department, the first down department, says they did not. Philly put up 500 total yards throughout this game. You heard that right. 500 was the exact number on the dot. Green Bay puts up 342 yards. Then they got 29 first downs, did the Eagles, compared to Green Bay's 19. So I would have thought this was a 2-3 score game. They also won the possession battle 35-34 to 24-26. So you're like, all right, they outgained them in yards. They had more first downs, and they had the ball 11 minutes longer. And yet it was still a game. And Green Bay had 2 turnovers. The Phillies won. So sometimes football, it's just weird. I mean, you wouldn't expect that to kind of be the situation, but that it was. Of course, it was a sellout there in Philly. And yeah, I mean, what happened was the Eagles moved to 10-1, right? I mean, and the Packers fall to 4-8. So I want to talk about some main takeaways though in this game. I mean, I could go through the play-by-play, which I will here, the scoring summary. But the main takeaways for me was, of course, Rodgers exiting the game. He was 11 for 16, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So, 5 of those incompletions, 2 of the 5 were interceptions. That doesn't look good. But credit where credit's due. I mean, I thought he played okay. I mean, I thought he played pretty good. I'll touch on Jordan Love here in a second, but I think what opened up, those efficiency numbers, right? 11 for 16, was certainly that run game. A.J. Dillon getting the most usage he's gotten since week 1. I liked how A.J. Dillon was getting targets on top of those carries. He was averaging 8 a carry. So I know people were questioning Dillon from a talent perspective. Is he talented? Like, was this due to, offensive lines? Was this due to Rodgers being such an effective, passer, which could still be a valid argument, right? But look, I think Dillon's just a talented running back. I think, we gotta look at what he did last year. He hasn't gotten that same usage, but with Jones' cap going up, I mean, there's a chance we could see Jones not on this team next year. I still think that's a possibility. I think, what could be best for the team. Of course, Packers have a decision on other guys for cap space. Yeah, I think Bakhtiari being a big one, but I'd like to see where they move on that. Aaron Jones still was effective, of course. He was 12 for 43, 3.6 an attempt, but the passing game was where he thrived. 3 for 56 with a receiving touchdown. Christian Watson also 4 for 110 with a touchdown. That 63-yard play for him. And then let's go to Jordan Love. He comes in that last fourth quarter and he looked good. Credit where credit's due, right? I mean, you could say, he had some easy throws. It was certainly guys were not really contested. But when he had to make some nice throws, he did. I mean, I believe Aaron Jones had a drop. There were some other balls that he threw that were, they're on the money, I felt. They're certainly catchable balls, is how I'd put it. But Love looked, that was probably the best Jordan Love has looked in any sort of action. Granted, he only threw the ball 9 times, but that was the best he's ever looked. And I know, like in competition, considering how he's looked in preseason and other games, he hasn't looked good. So throw that out there. Jalen Hurts on the passing side, he 16 of 28, 2 passing touchdowns, no picks. He was okay, on the passing side. Where he was, he dominated was the rushing side. He looked like the best, or one of the best, if not the best, running quarterbacks in the NFL in this game. 17 of 157, 9.2 in attempts. is what that average is. Miles Sanders was averaging 6.8 attempts, as expected against the Packers. The rushing end, that's how it is. 2 touchdowns for him. It was good to see Kenneth Gainwell getting in the action, 8 for 39 with a rushing touchdown. And yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts was basically a record-setting game for him on the running side. But yeah, on the receiving side, I mean, they still had, Devontae Smith having 9 targets, was big for me. AJ Brown was number 2 on the team with 6 targets, 4 receptions for him, 46 yards, 1 touchdown. Smith was 4 for 50. Quez Watkins was the other one, 3 for 35 with a touchdown in this game. That's really all they needed. I mean, the defense was dominating for this Philadelphia, a front 7. You want to say Fletcher Cox, Josh Sweat, those guys, Hassan Reddick. I mean, this defense is very talented. They add, of course, Robert Quinn to it. It's a dominating defensive front. Even the corners, right? Darius Slay. You got to credit him. Of course, some other guys too on that defense, but this defense is certainly top 5 unit in all of football. Packers putting up 33 points was promising against that defense, but look, this is the NFL. Look, I mean, these guys, we need wins. We need they didn't win the game. They're 1-5 on the road. They're 4-8 overall. I mean, that's kind of where I would look at it. In the sack department, the Packers, Justin Hollins had a sack for them. Jaron Reed and Preston Smith each had a half sack. Kingsley and Agbear looked good again. I'll throw that out there. Quay Walker probably had his best game of the year. Maybe. I mean, that might be a stretch. It might be overinflating the fumble he returned, but 11 total tackles, 4 solo tackles, and he looked pretty good out there. I mean, he's starting to have a feel for it, I'd say. So I liked what I saw out of him. And then Keshawn Nixon on the kick return side, averaging 34.4 yards in attempts. I thought that was very good. I mean, he had his best specialty. The special teams, kick return did the best they've done all year. Which was promising. Quay Walker had his best game, right? I mean, I talked about AJ Dillon having his best game. Jordan Love looking good. This team still loses though. I still put up 40, or they still allowed 40 points. This game was, what was it, 27-20 at half? Like, come on. It was a shootout here in Philly. And again, I'll go through the recap one more time. I didn't go through it yet. Kenneth Gainwell, that 4-yard run to start the game, and then Miles Sanders with a 15-yard run that they go 13-0 as Jake Elliott misses that second extra point. AJ Dillon, 20-yard touchdown run. 13-7's the score. Randall Cobb then has that 11-yard pass received from Rodgers. 14-13 is the score, and of 1 Packers up. Miles Sanders gets another run here, 20-14. Aaron Jones gets that. Then that passing touchdown, 23 yards, 20-20 is your score. Then Quez Watkins gets that 30-yard pass to end the first half, 27-20. Eagles are up. A.J. Brown gets on the board with the 6-yard touchdown pass from Hurts, 34-20. Crosby gets a field goal, 34-23. Elliott answers with a field goal in the fourth, 37-23. And then we have Watson, that 63-yard pass from Jordan Love, 37-30 is your score. Elliott puts on that 54-yarder, 40-30. Crosby gets a 33-yarder, 40-33. That's your final, again, in Philly. And that was it. So Packers, right? I mean, they go to 4-8. Just tough. Not really happy with the result. They do, though, I see the Bears next Sunday. So you're hoping, right? I mean, you're on a 2-game losing streak now. Bears, Justin Fields' status is questionable. Packers' quarterback situation is questionable. It could be Jordan Love under center next week. I don't think he will be, but you have to admit it could be right now after what all the events that transpired. And the Packers, of course, get a much-deserved bye week, or much-needed, maybe not deserved, much-needed bye week, the week after that Bears game. So that is your football talk there for the Green Bay Packers. Let's go to the Bucs. Let's talk about what's going on there. It was an exciting week for the Bucs. You had 4 games we talked about. You Robert and I both said 3-1. We were right. We got it right. We predicted the wrong game to lose though. They lose that one against Chicago. A little surprising there, but they beat Portland on Monday, 119 to 111. They lose on Wednesday to the Bulls. They It was something. Nikola Vucevic and Kobe White kept putting it. They put up threes to seal it, 3 straight threes there. So they just played well in that last minute. That won them the game. Of course, there's other plays, but that last minute was key for them. Cleveland, they beat 117-102 in comeback fashion on Friday. Awesome game. That second half was wild. Then on Sunday, we had just yesterday, they played Dallas, and they answered. We were wondering how they would compete against Luka, right? And 124-115 was the final. Giannis put up 30 in that one, 30-11. Holiday with 6 assists in that. But the games this week, we got 3 only, and we have one on prime time. We got ESPN on Friday against the Lakers. So it's a lone home game this week, but they go to New York on Wednesday. They face the Knicks. They're 6:30 tip for them. Then after the New York Knicks game, they go and play the Los Angeles Lakers. That's Friday, 6:30 p.m. Then from the Los Angeles Laker game, they go to Charlotte. They play Charlotte at 5 o'clock. And those games then, right, the one on Wednesday, 6:30, on Friday, 6:30, and then on Saturday, 5 p.m. I'm intrigued to see this back-to-back. So it's, right, you play the Lakers, 6:30, game gets done probably 8:39. Then you got to go to Charlotte the next day, play a game at 5. I wonder how many players will be rested in that game. There's a chance. I could totally see it. I mean, you could see Giannis be out with knee soreness. You could see a player be out. That's kind of a rest game, I feel, for the Bucks. So that could be the one they lose. I'm going 2-1 this week. I think they beat New York in the Lakers, but I think they lose one of the back-to-backs. It's just, playing the back-to-backs in the NBA. It's unfortunate, not fun. And you can certainly, those are games where you can just lose. You can get picked off by a team. That's right. This is the NBA. So that is where I would go with that. Otherwise, it sounds like Chris Middleton, I sound like a broken record, but this week it sounds like we'll be getting Middleton back. I really think that's the case. Of course, he was out yesterday. Ibaka was out yesterday. And then we know Joe Ingles will be returning in... Yeah, he'll be returning in January sometime is what they believe for that. Otherwise, I mean, it's the main squad. Grayson Allen was hot yesterday. Of course, they've been exploring him in a trade scenario, so I'm wondering how that would transpire or if that will take place. Pat Connaughton being back is another takeaway, but you gotta like the Bucks, 14-5 right now, first in the Central Division. And then regarding conference-wise, they are looking. I mean, it's them and the Celtics, really, those 1-2. Let me pull it up here. Boston right now is sitting 16-4. So there you go. That's kind of the standings we're looking at. And it's loading still, but yeah, it's Celtics 16-4, Bucks 14-5, Cavs 13-7, Pacers 11-8, and then Hawks 11-9, 76ers 11-9, and then the play-in, the 4 teams there: Raptors 10-9, Washington Wizards 10-10, then Brooklyn Nets 10-11, and the Miami Heat rounded out there 10-11. Right, 10 teams make the playoffs now. There you go. There's your Eastern Conference report for the playoffs. Bucks looking good there. They are up right now 4 games out of the play-in, and they're up 5.5-ish overall, depending on tiebreaker with the New York Knicks. It could be 6.5. But again, that will wrap it up here for myself, Drew Skyberg. Remember, Fantasia Sports. There's a referral code down below. You want to check that out. They've been doing a lot of giveaways. So I'll throw that in there. Thrive Fantasy as well. If you want to start your journey to $1 million, use promo code J2M, and you get an awesome offer. Right, that's all down below. You get that deposit match. You get free entry tickets. It's a wonderful deal, right? For going on Thrive and doing the contest that you do on any other app. So go check that out. And Again, at Drew Sports Crew is where you can find the Instagram, Twitter, Drew Sports Crew's the Facebook, TikTok at Drew Sports Crew. We have great stuff up on there. Just go follow us on the social media. We got a giveaway coming up soon, for social media. So if you get it done now, you have half the battle done. You just got to send it in. I'll release more details on that at a later date. But then also 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or just leave a written review. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And again, that'll wrap it up for myself, Drew Skyberg, on this Monday morning. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Drew's Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.